third wave, right? So compared to the last month, which is December, FMCG sales were down about 10%. But on a year-on-year basis, however, since there was no COVID wave the same time last year, at that point, then the sales are up about 10% on a Y-on-Y basis. Now, urban markets seem to have been impacted more than rural markets. What we're picking up from the data is that in urban markets, the sales were down about 18.5% compared to the last month, while in rural markets, it was down just about 7%. But on a year-on-year basis, rural markets did much better. Now, remember, this is because this time, despite it being the peak of third wave, restrictions were less and out-of-home has picked up a lot more than it had. Out-of-home consumption picked up a lot more than it had at the same time last year. Now, this time also is driven by essential commodities that you would normally stock up during a COVID wave, like your pulses, rice, oil, etc. Now, that has driven a slightly better growth this third wave if you compare that to the first two waves of COVID. Now, let me give you a category-wise breakup as well. Like I said, commodities did much better, so they were up 4.3% compared to last month. Confectioneries and other typical non-essential items that usually see a downturn during COVID wave, that is down, of course, about 13.9% for confectioneries. Beverage sales, for example, were down about 14.7%, almost 15%. Personal care sales also, because you don't tend to step out a lot more than you would otherwise, were down about 9.1%. Home care sales also were down about 22.4%. Now, this is also because compared to earlier months and even last year, now the fuss around hygiene or the obsession around hygiene products has died down quite a bit, hence a drop down. But packaged foods, however, have seen a much better performance. They were only down about 10% on a month-on-month basis, but compared to Jan last year, they were up almost 40%. Now, like I said, this is again because the out-of-home consumption was not very impacted, and compared to the last two waves, the impact was lesser, but overall, the FMCG market is still reeling under a consumption slowdown, not just because of the third wave, but also because inflation is very high. And now what turn that takes going ahead, that needs to be watched closely. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Shilpa, for that comprehensive report on how FMCG is faring. We'll slip into